Welcome everyone. Now, today's we are here for the day 4 of your AWS session. So, whatever topics you can see, I have mentioned here. I have basically divided into two classes, day 3 and day 4, right? In in our last yesterday session, we have seen AWS BPC and its component, AWS service inside and outside of the BPC, right? Three-tier architecture we have understood, BPC CIDR, subnet, private and public, right? Routing tables we have discussed, IP addressing we have seen what is public IP, what is private IP, and what is elastic IP, right? Now, there's a one more topic is pending, which is BPC router. So this is the one which I will cover today. Your elastic network interface. This is the another topic which I will cover today. Your security group also I will cover today. Your network access control list I will cover today. Internet gateway we have already discussed, but I will give you some basic overview again for today. I will also discuss your NAT gateway and NAT instance, egress only internet gateway, and these VMs we have already deployed in yesterday session. So today also I will do the deployment of couple of VMs. So guys, now going forward, what I will deploy the Amazon Linux and your Ubuntu VM. Okay, now before starting the session, guys, tell me one thing. Let's suppose I have this particular PC or this particular EC2 machine. Now let's suppose this EC2 machine is a part of private subnet. And we have a dedicated private route table. So guys, tell me one thing, is this machine able to connect with the internet or not? It is not able to connect with the internet, right? By default, because it's a private, it's a part of private subnet, and this particular machine is not having any type of route towards the internet gateway. Guys, what is the use of egress only internet gateway? In which cases we will use this egress only internet gateway? So this egress only internet gateway we will use when we are using IPv6 in your BPC. Guys, tell me one thing, can my BPC run in a dual stack? Means I can have here IPv4 CIDR and IPv6 CIDR. It is possible. Can I have both type of CIDR in my on my BPC? So it is true we can run our BPC in dual stack mode. Means it can basically have IPv4 and IPv6 based CIDR. Just remember. Okay. Now let's take an example of Mumbai region of AWS. In Mumbai region, I have a availability zone 1, I have availability zone 2, and I have availability zone 3. Now in this availability zone, I am having subnet 1. Here I have a subnet 2, and here I have a subnet 3. Let's suppose subnet 1 having the IP range which is 10.10.0.0/24, and here we have a 10.10.1.0/24, and here we have a 10.10.2.0/24. Now guys, from this subnet 1, there is a one IP address which is 10.10.0.1. This IP address is reserved for which device inside your subnet in an availability zone? It is basically reserved for AWS router. Okay. Let's suppose your BPC CIDR. I'm talking about the BPC CIDR. Let's say we have a BPC CIDR which is 10.10.0.0/20. Now, from this CIDR, this IP is 10.10.0.2 is reserved for which device? It is reserved for DNS, just remember. Okay, it reserved for the DNS server. Okay, now guys, let's suppose I have a BPC. Now inside this BPC, how many CIDR I can able to define? What is the total number of CIDR I can add in an BPC? What is the maximum limit? So we can able to attach around 5 CIDR. Just remember. Okay, we can able to attach here 5 CIDR. Okay, now what is the BPC limit for a region? In a region, how many BPC we can able to create? What is the default quota? Default quota is 5. What is the default quota for elastic IPs? How many elastic IP I can able to reserve for a region? By default is 5, but we can able to increase these limits. Okay, remember one thing is BPC CIDR, right? We can only able to have up to 5 CIDR. We cannot able to increase that limit. That value is fixed. We can only allow 5 CIDR. Just remember. Okay. Now, one more thing. In an BPC, what is the minimum CIDR I can able to define? Or what is the maximum value of CIDR I can able to define? Minimum is slash 28 and maximum is slash 16. So I got the answer correct from most of you, means we have understood the concept which we have discussed yesterday. Okay. Now, guys, tell me one thing. 172.31.0.0. This particular range is reserved with which BPC in AWS? This particular range 172.31.0.0. So this range is reserved for the default BPC. Don't worry. Default BPC I have just given the overview, but today I will discuss about it as well. Okay. Now, okay, cool. Now guys, let me start with the BPC router first. Okay. First we will understood the BPC router concept. What is BPC router and all. Okay. So if I'll go here in this diagram, you can see I have a US East 1A. This is my one of the availability zone 1A. And I have a US East 1V, which is my availability zone 2. So guys, what used to happen? Each of these availability zones, they have a connectivity with AWS router. Means each and every subnet. Here I have defined two wire, but in actual it is just a one wire, because it's a virtual router at your hypervisor level. Okay. And each and every availability zone, whatever subnets we are having, that subnet has a connectivity with this particular router. Just remember. Okay. And this is the router who will basically perform the routing on the basis of your route table. So whatever custom route table we will create, or there is a one main route table, right? So whenever these machines, these particular EC2 instance, when they wants to communicate with each other, or if they wants to communicate with the internet, what they will do, they will forward this particular traffic to this router. And after this, the duty of this router is to forward the traffic towards the internet gateway or towards the net gateway. Just remember. Okay. Now, so BPC router, it is just a virtual router within your BPC. So in each and every BPC, it has a one virtual router. It is highly available and it is span across all availability zone in the region. Let's take an example here. Let's suppose, let me just, I have a dedicated diagram for this. Let me just look for that diagram first. I'll take a reference from there only. Let me just decrease the size little bit. Where is that one I have shaped? Okay, so if you will see in this particular diagram, in this diagram, you will see I have a availability zone 1A, availability zone 2, availability zone 3, availability zone 4, availability zone 5, and availability zone 6. Let's say these are the 6 availability zone I am having, and each availability zone have these subnets: 10.6, 16.32.0/24, then 96, 160, 1112, 48, and 176, right? So what happens now? See, this is a BPC router. So what used to happen? This BPC router have a virtual interfaces till each availability, every availability zone, it has this particular virtual interface. So every subnet has a BPC router interface, means this is a BPC router and its interface is spanned towards all the availability zones. Just remember, or each and every subnet has this particular interface, means whatever VMs we will connect, let's suppose there is a one VM which I have hosted on this particular subnet, that VM got connected through this particular interface, and after it will got a connectivity with this particular BPC router, means each and every subnet has a BPC router, or this BPC router has a connectivity with each and every subnet. And guys, all these interfaces, they have the IP address. That is the reason at the subnet level, AWS has a reserve. Let's suppose if this is a subnet range, then 10.16.32.1, this IP address AWS is going to configure into this interface. Let's say this interface is F0y0. Okay. So all interfaces uses subnet plus one address like 10.16.48.1 as a IP address on this interface. Okay, so that's how this particular BPC router gets the IP address into their interfaces, and all these machines, they are whatever VMs we will deploy here, they will forward the traffic to this particular router only. Okay, now it is highly available because this device is managed by the AWS, so it's highly available, scalable. So because this is a device managed by the AWS, it has enough resources like CPU, RAM, and all these things. So there is no issue with the performance. You will get the very good performance here. This particular BPC router routes the traffic between the subnets, means between the subnet within the BPC. Let's suppose we have a two subnet, we have a two machines into two different subnets. Then this is the router who is going to do all type of communication within the BPC. And that is the reason, guys, if you have seen the route table, let's suppose our BPC CIDR is 10.10.0.0/16. Then my route table will have one route for this particular BPC CIDR towards the local. Local means this particular route is available inside the BPC router route table. Just remember, it routes traffic from BPC to external networks, means whenever any EC2 machines they wants to communicate with outside of the network or with the external networks like other BPCs or the on-prem networks via VPN or direct connect or the public internet, or from outside, if anyone tries to access your EC2 machine using his public IP address, right? All these type of traffic will go through your BPC router. Just remember, BPC router controls the routing within the BPC. BPC router have interface in every subnet with the IP address, which is subnet CIDR plus one. Each EC2 instance get the IP address, subnet, mask and default gateway and DNS server details from the DSCP option set. Now, guys, let's suppose this is the EC2 machine which I have launched on my subnet one. Now, because in BPC we have a one feature called DSCP option set. So this machine will get the IP address via DSCP server. Along with that IP address, it will also get the default gateway, which is the IP address of this particular router. Okay. It will get the subnet mask, DNS name, and apart from that, it will also get the NetBIOS name, your network time protocol, NTP settings, right? So when we will discuss this DSCP option set, that time I will cover in more detail. BPC router controls the traffic using subnet route tables. Just remember what it used to do. It used to control the traffic on the basis of route tables, whatever we will create. Okay. So this is all about your BPC router. Now let me just discuss the elastic network interfaces. Okay. So to discuss this thing, let me just go here. Let me first access my elastic interfaces. Okay. Now, before guys starting anything with regards to elastic interfaces, what I can do, let me go here, let me create one BPC, and guys, today I will go with the very basic type of deployment. I will create one BPC, which is BPC01. I will go with 172.16.0.0/20 subnet. This is the BPC which I have created. I'll go into the subnets and I'll create only 4 subnets here. This is my subnet 01 public. I will create public subnet. Availability zone, which is US East 1A. And I'll define IP, which is 172.16.1.0/24. I'm using one series. Add subnet. I will use the subnet, which is subnet 2, which is also public one. I will put in 1B and I will use here 172.16.2.0/24. Add subnets. Subnet 01. Now this time I am using this subnet as a private subnet and I will put this subnet on my US East 1A region and I will use 172.16 then 3.0/24. And this is my private subnet. Just remember, or let me go with subnet 3, which is private. Or let me just create 3 subnets. Okay. This is also subnet 03 public. And now I will create 3 private subnets. Okay. I'll go here. Subnet 04. And this is the private subnet. I will put again into 1A. 172.16.4.0/24. And let me just look for this. This I want to put in 1C. Okay. So again, one private subnet in 1A region, another private subnet in 1B region, which is subnet 5. Availability zone is 1V. 172.16 5.0/24. Then I'll create one more subnet here. And this time subnet 6. This is subnet 5. This is subnet 6. And I will put in 1C. 172.16.6.0/24. These are the 6 subnet which I wanted to create, and let me just create them. Let me just clear the filter. Now I'll go into the route table. In route table, what I will do, this is my main route table. So I'll go here and I'll just always rename it BPC01 main route table. Now we can create a route table. So I will create one route table, which is BPC01 public route table. Guys, how we can make a route table public? What we have to do? What are the changes we have to do to make a route table public? Write on the chat. By adding the default gateway, right? So this is my public route table. Let me create one more route table. And this is my private route table. And this route table is also part of same BPC, means I've created two custom route tables. I'll go into this internet gateway, and let me create the I gateway. Internet gateway for BPC01 created. Go back here, select your internet gateway. I don't want to create new, select it, action, attach this net gateway with the BPC, which is BPC01, attach it. Go back to route tables. I'll go into my public route table first. I'll go into the subnet association and I will associate all of my public subnets. So I have a subnet 3, subnet 2 public, and subnet 1 public. 1, 2, and 3, these are the public subnets. Save. I've associated them. See, now this particular public route table have all these 3 subnets. I'll go into the route, and guys, to allow the internet connection, I will add the default route towards the internet gateway. I will select and I will basically add the route towards the internet gateway. Now I'll go back here. I will basically create the private route table. In private route, I'll go into the subnet association, edit the association, and let me add my private subnet over there. These are my private subnet. There is a one question from Suraj, like if the subnet association is not there, can it work with the default route table? Yes, we can able to work with the default route table or the main route table. Yes, we can able to do that. Okay. But always generally make a habit of creating your customized route table, because you can able to play according to your configuration. Okay. See, we have a routes here, and now both the route tables have the proper routes, whatever we want. Now I'll go into my EC2 instance. I'll click on launch EC2 instance. I'll go and I'll just give here VM01. I'm launching one EC2 instance here. I want to launch Amazon Linux machine. I will use the key pair. Let me just guys create one new key pair today. So let me give some descriptive name. Day04 key pair. Okay. I will basically download the PEM file for that. I'll copy this PEM file, copy and paste, go to into desktop, and I have to basically put into my AWS batch here. Go back, select this day40 key pair. You can create any. I'm just giving this name. Now, guys, what I wanted to do, I wanted to put this machine on my public subnet, because I want to do the internet connection. I want to attach this machine. I want to connect with this machine using the internet, right? So now BPC01, I will put on my public subnet 01. We have a public subnet 01. See, I want a public IP address, so either I can able to do it from here. The best practice, what you can do, you can go into at your subnet level, whatever the public subnets you are having, go here into action, edit subnet settings, and enable the auto assign public IP address. At subnet level, go into public subnet 2, go here, edit the subnet settings and enable the auto assign public IP address. So now whatever machines you will install or you will launch in these subnets, they will get the public IP address automatically. So this setting we have to change with regards to these public subnets only. Just remember. Go back here. Right now I've just go with enable. If you will disable, then that machine will not get any public IP address. Let me just enable it. Create security group. I'll go here. Let me just see if I have any existing security group. Not having. Let me just create one security group, which is allow all. Today we will work with the security group. Right now I'm just creating for allowing all the traffic. And instead of SHS, I'll go and I'll just define all traffic. I want to allow everything. Advanced networking. I want IP address which is 172.168.1.100 IP address on this machine. So I will just select that IP, go and launch. There is a one question on the chat. If we have a default route in the route table but not associated with subnet with route table, in that case will traffic routed towards the internet? No, it will not able to route. Okay. If your subnet is not associated, which means you have not connected your subnet. Okay. Yes, Somesh sir, there is a like he has asked why we have created public and private public subnet and route. Public subnet I will create, so whatever VMs I will launch on my public subnet, so they can able to reach till the internet. Okay. Now, see my machine has been launched successfully. Let's go here. Let me select this VM. Now I want to connect with this VM. So this is the IP address of this VM. Guys, see, I'm not able to get any type of public DNS name. What is the reason? Why I'm not able to see the public DNS name here? What is the reason? Need to enable settings for public DNS, right? Yes, what we have to do, we have to go into BPC, select your BPC action, edit BPC settings and enable DNS host name. And after that only your DNS will start providing the host name to your machines. Okay. See, as soon as I have enabled, now my machine got the IP address, got the DNS name. I can also use this particular instead of IP address. I can use this particular DNS name for communication purpose. If I will open my command prompt, ping, you can see ping is working. And this particular DNS name is resolved with 3.237.186.224, right? Let's see. It's the same public IP address, right? Where it is resolving. See, 3.237.187.224. It's the same one, right? Now, let's do one thing. Now, what I will do to connect using my putty. If I want to connect using my putty application with this particular VM, what I have to do? I will needs to be see. Generally, putty they will support .ppk file, but our public key, whatever public key we have created, right? That public key is in PEM format. So we have to convert it into the PPK format. How we can do that? You have to open the putty keys and see putty is in. Start this, load the key, select all files and you can load, which is day 4. Open, close, and you can just click on save private key. Save private key with the same name, day 4. day4 key pair dot pem. Instead of pem, you can go with ppk. Save it, close it. Now you can see I have a .ppk file. Now what I will open my putty this time. Or I have this on my taskbar. I will open this machine, right? I'll go here. I will type ec2 hyphen user at the rate IP address, which is 3.237 3.237.187.224. Go to into SHS auth credential, and what you can basically browse that particular ppk file, which is this one, because it will support the key based authentication, right? And if you want, you can just save the session like day4 AWS like this. Save it. So you can use now the save session in the future. Login, accept the public key, and I have the access of my machine. You can type sudo -su and you will become the root in this machine. Ping to google.com. You can able to ping to the google.com as well. Now, see, if you have observed here one thing in this machine, in this VM, this VM has this particular ENI network, elastic network interface. Okay, so let me tell you one thing. Whenever you will deploy any VM, when you will deploy any virtual machine, what they used to come up with the elastic network interface. They have one virtual elastic network interface. Like in your laptop, we have a NIC card, right? Or we have a Ethernet port where we used to connect the cable, right? So it's the same thing. ENI is a elastic network interface which is connected with your virtual machine. Okay. See, this is the ENI. And if you want to know more about this ENI, right click, open a new tab. So it will open a new EC2 console here, and you can able to see the ENI detail. See, this is the network interface ID. It's a elastic network interface. It is attached with this security group. So guys, one more thing, security group is attached at your ENI level. Okay. We have, this is the subnet. This is the BPC owner. This is the account on which this ENI is created, right? These are the IP details. This is the private IP, public IP, private DNS name, public DNS name, right? Elastic IP address, owner is Amazon only. This is the instance ID where we have attached this particular ENI, elastic load elastic network interface, right? So all these details you can able to check here. Okay, now go here. What what is elastic network interface or ENI? So an elastic network interface is a logical networking component. It's a logical, or I can say it's a virtual networking component in an BPC that represents a virtual network card, means it will represent a virtual NIC card. It can include the following attributes. In your ENI, what it has a primary private IPv4 address, one or more secondary IP, means we can have a multiple IP address. Like in your laptop, we can able to configure multiple IP addresses, right? One elastic IPv, like not on laptop, like we can able to configure, let's suppose in a Cisco router, right? Or in your Palo Alto firewall, we can able to configure more than two IP address, right? One is primary, then another one is secondary. It also have one elastic IPv4 address per private IP address, means if we have a, let's suppose We have a one private IP address, then it can also have a one elastic or public IP address. Okay. One or more security group means we can also able to attach one or more security group with the ENI. It also have a MAC address, right? Like our each and every port, like your Ethernet port, NIC card, or in your routers, right? We have a interfaces like F0Y0, F0Y1, F0Y2, or in your Palo Alto 5, we have Ethernet 1x1, 1x2, 1x3, right? All these interface they have a dedicated MAC address, right? Because that is how your layer to switch able to do the traffic forwarding, right? So each and every network interface or this elastic network interface, they have a MAC address. And also a source and destination check flag is on. The meaning, whenever any of the traffic is received on your VM on an specific ENI, what it will do? It will check what is the source. Let's suppose source is 10.10.0.1 and destination is 20.10.0.1. This is, let's say, source IP, and let's say this is destination IP. And on this VM, let's say this VM have IP which is 10.10. Sorry, this VM have IP is 20.10.0.1. Right? What it will do when this particular packet received by this VM, it will check this packet, is this packet really for this VM? Because tell me one thing, guys. In your laptop, what it will do, if that traffic coming for your laptop, it will accept that particular packet, right? If the packet is not for your laptop, what it will do, it will drop that packet, because destination source and destination check is enabled. They by default they will do this particular check. Okay. We can also able to monitor the IP traffic with the help of CloudWatch logs and everything with regards to your elastic load balancer or elastic network interface. You can create ENI independently and attach them on a fly. Apart from C, when we will launch any of the VMs, that time it will comes up but with the default network and default elastic network interface. We can also able to create the ENI and we can able to attach these ENIs with your EC2 instance for the failable purpose. Okay, and your ENI is bound to a specific availability zone, means a scope of your ENI is towards the availability zone only. If we have created the ENI on availability zone 1, then we can only able to use this ENI. Let's suppose ENI 10 we have created, then this ENI 10 we can only able to use this within this availability zone. It is, we are not able to use it on availability zone 2 because it is bound to a specific availability zone. Just remember, we cannot able to detach the primary ENI. So whenever we will deploy any machine, it will come up with the one interface, right? One elastic network interface, and that elastic network interface is known as primary ENI. And we cannot able to remove or we cannot able to detach that particular ENI. We can only detach the secondary ENI from the instance and detach it with the other EC2 instance. Okay. Now, let's go here. There is one question like, what is the purpose, source and destination check? I will explain you when we will discuss the net instance. Okay. Now, guys, let me focus on these topics. Okay. Now, see, if you have seen here, we have one EC2 instance. This EC2 instance, let's suppose having one interface called like Ethernet 0, and it has a one more interface called Ethernet 1. So this ETH0, this particular ENI is a primary ENI, and it will have this IP address. Then we have a Ethernet 1, which have a secondary ENI and which have this particular IP address. Now, see, this is the ENI which we have created. Now, if you want, we can able to move this ENI with other EC2 instance as well. So we can able to do these things. Now, let's do one thing. Let's do one thing. I'll go here into my AWS and let me create one elastic network interface. So I'll go here and I'll give the name ENI demo 001. Okay. And what I want to put this ENI on a subnet, which is subnet 0, which is public, right? On subnet 0 public. Private IP address, I want also, you can use the auto assign or you can use the customer. Let's suppose I want the another secondary IP address, which is 172.16.1.101. Right now, this particular VM have one IP address, which is 116.1.100. Now I want 101 as well on the same machine. Or I can go like that, like I want 200. Elastic fabric adapter, I will explain you later when we will discuss the bandwidth and other things. You can go into advanced settings. You can optionally set the prefix IPv4 prefix delegation and all, right? Auto assign. You can use the auto assign, all these things, right? I will go with the default one. These are the security group. What I want to attach the same security group on this ENI, create the ENI. See, now if you will refresh this one, so let me just see. This is the ENI demo 01. Let me give the name here. ENI demo 01. This is the one which we have created, and this is the VM01 primary ENI. So I will give this particular name so we can able to identify the things here. Now you can select this ENI. You can able to see all that detail, right? But right now this particular ENI which we have created is not attached with any of EC2 instance. It is available to use. It is not having any public IP address. It just have one private IP address, which is 116.1.200, which we have defined. Owner and all these details you can able to see. So what you can do now, you can select this particular ENI. You can go here. You can click on attach, and we can able to attach with RVM01. Click on attach. Now you can see ENI has been attached successfully. Now if I'll go into this VM, if I run this command, ifconfig, see, if you have noticed this time, I have a Ethernet interface 1 here, having IP 170.16.1.100, and I have a interface, one more interface here, right? Right now IP address is not visible here. It will come in some time, and this is the loopback one, right? So this is how we can able to attach the ENI, right? If you will type multiple times, now you can see this ENI is also activated in your machine. See, we have a one interface, and this is my second interface. This is the one which I have created. So guys, now this is how we can able to create the ENIs, and we can able to attach, and in which cases this is helpful if we want a dual home type of network. If we needed a dual home means in some time in your servers you have seen they used to have a two Ethernet adapters like Ethernet 0 and Ethernet 1. It's a similar type of setup we have done here basically. Okay, if you will type here one thing which is route minus n, you can see I have a two default route pointing towards 172.16.1.1, and you can see this route is reachable via ENX01 means my primary ENI, and I have a another route which is pointing towards the secondary ENI. It's the same thing like in your VM. Let me just take an live example from one of my VM. Let me open here this VM. If I will open this Kali Linux here, in this Kali Linux, if I will open this edit virtual network settings, you can see I have a two adapters here. Means this Kali Linux has two interfaces, right? This is primary and this is secondary. You can think like that. Okay. Like if I will show you here my Palo Alto firewall. Let me edit the virtual machine setting. Like here you can able to see this Palo Alto have first interface, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth total. 6 ENIs it is having. So that is the same thing which we have done. Okay. If I want to increase more, I can basically add here. I can add the network adapter. I can change. I want to add which drive. Like that, we can able to do it. Okay. It's the same thing which I have done on the AWS now. Now, let's do one more thing here. Let me see. Now, if I will refresh this tab here, I'll go into ENI demo. Let me refresh one more time. I want the demo detail. You can see this is the IP address and this is the instance, right? Both have a same instance, means these ENIs will connect with the same instance. Now guys, why I am explaining this thing, because when I will deploy this Palo Alto firewall on the AWS environment, that time you have to know all these things. Okay, we will do the same thing that time as well. Okay, so that is the reason I'm explaining this ENI concept. Now you can able to see this is the subnet, all such type of detail with regards to ENI, right? Let's do one more practice. Go here. Let me launch one more VM. I'll just launch this VM02. This is again my Amazon Linux. Same AMI I will use. Key pair, let me use the same key pair. Network settings. This time this machine I want to deploy on subnet, which is same subnet. Okay, I'm just doing it with the on the same subnet. Auto assign public IP is enabled. Security group, I will use the existing, like allow all traffic, network settings here. So by default, you can able to see we will get one ENI here, right? Let me just put here 172.16, 1.50 IP address. Let's suppose if you want one more ENI from starting, what you can able to, you can click on add network interface. You can also able to add from here, and you can define you want the IP address which is 1.60, means you want one IP which is 50, you want one IP which is 60. Now your VM, this particular VM will have two ENIs. Auto assign public IP can only be assigned to instance with one network interface. Either disable auto assign or remove the network interface. Okay, now what we can do, we can go here and we can launch this particular EC2 instance. There is a one error. Enable auto assign public IP address. What it is saying, auto assign IP can only be assigned to instance with one network interface. Either disable auto assign public IP or remove a network interface. Okay, I think this setting I have to disable. Then only I can able to launch this particular VM. Okay, go and just launch the VM. Now you can see there are two ENI has been created, right? And this is the ENI which is demo 01. And generally, whatever the second ENI we will create, it will not get any type of public IP address. You can see we are not having any type of public IP address here. If you want to allocate a public IP address, what you have to basically reserve a elastic IP address, and that IP address you have to use. Just remember. Now go here, go to this EC2 instance, refresh this particular console. This is the VM. VM2, and in this VM right now you can see it has a two private IP addresses, but it is not having any type of public IP address as of now, right? So what do you have to do? If you want to assign a public IP address, what you can just go here and you can type EIP, elastic IP address, open a new tab here. Let's reserve couple of elastic IPs. Allocate elastic IPs in US East 1A on this region. So this is the one of the elastic IP which I have resolved. Let me just give the name EIP01. Let me allocate one more IP address. EIP02. Go here. Now, what you can able to do here, you can select this elastic IP address. Go here. You can associate this elastic IP address. You can associate at the network interface level and choose the network interface. Let's suppose you want in this particular EC2 instance, if you have seen this VM01, right? It just have a two private IP address, but it is just have only one public IP address. If you want two public IP address, you can associate the elastic IP address into the secondary ENI, which is ENI demo 01. Private IP address is this. Click on associate. Now, if in some time, if I will refresh this, I will refresh VM01. You can able to see one more IP address in some time here. Refresh. So we have one IP address here and we have a one more IP address. You can see EIP01, which is elastic IP address, right? So this particular machine now have two public IP address and two private IP address, and both of my ENIs, they are having the public IPs, right? Now, let's look for this VM2. Right now, this VM2 is not having any type of public IP address, right? So what you can do, you can basically go here and check for the ENI here. What is the ENI we are having? Just look for the ENI, the primary one. One minute, let me go into networking, networking details, subnet. This is the ENI we are having, right? You can able to see this is the, let me just, this is the this is the primary, and this is the ENI ID like ending with DC, right? So you can go here, and now I have a EIP which is 2, right? Now this EIP2 I will basically associate with this particular interface, network interface, which is 00DC, which is my VM2 and having IP of 172.16.1.50 associated. Now, this time if you will go into your EC2 instance, you can refresh this particular browser here, go into EC2 instance to here now. Now you can see we have, it has a public IP address, which is an elastic one. Now do one thing, guys. See, both of these VMs is a part of same VPC. So if I will go into this machine and if I will do the ping from here, which is ping to 172.16.1.50, I can able to ping. This is obvious behavior, right? Now if I want to take the SHS, if I want to take the SSS of VM2 from VM1, now what is the steps I have to follow? What is the first thing I will type here? What is the first thing I have to do do the SHS on my VM2 from VM1? First, we have to create the key file here. And for that, I will use this ppk file or this pem file. Which one I have to consider? Always consider this particular pem file. Copy and paste. So just copy from here, go here and just type nano, give the name AWS day 4 key pair dot pem, hit enter. Now here directly you can right click. So it will copy, press Ctrl X, then hit Y. It will basically and hit enter. It will save the content. You can check your content by using this command. Now change the permission chmod 600. You can go with 400 as well, and 600 will also work. AWS day 4. Now type SHS -i EC2 hyphen user @ 172.16.1.50. 1 minute. SHS hyphen I AWS then EC2 hyphen user @ 172.16.1.50. Yes, and I have the access of my second VM. Type a sudo su or sudo -i. You will become the root here. Type fconfig, and right now you can see it has these two interfaces. Both the ENIs, right? Now, what we can do here, let me just do one thing. See, see, I have, if you remember, I have created one ENI demo one, right? And that ENI I have attached with this VM0, right? Now let me just detach from VM0 one and I will attach with VM2. Means I will detach that ENI from VM1 and I will attach with the VM2. How we can do that? You can go here. This is the one which I have created, right? Just do one thing. Let me go here and let me just give the name. This is my VM2 ENIs 01. Just rename it. I'm just renaming it so we can able to understand the things properly here. VM2 ENI02. These are the one which we have selected, right? Now, what I will do, I'll go on my ENI's demo 01. I'll go into action. And what I will do, I will detach. Click on detach. Network interface has been detached. Means I have just unplugged one of the I have unplugged this from one of the VM, which is this one. Right now you can see on VM0. We had two IP addresses here. If I will refresh, you can go here on VM01. And right now it is just have a one IP address because it just have a one ENI right now, which is a primary one. Now you can go into VM2. Right now VM2 have two IP address and it is having two ENIs, right? These are the two ENIs it is having. Now let me go here and on to my this particular demo ENI and let me attach this ENI with, and I can able to attach it, but I'm not getting that option. Let me refresh it properly. ENI demo 01. Go here, attach it, and you can attach with VM2. Means now VM2 will get the selected instance type EC2 does not support ENA Express. Okay, that's not a problem. Failed to attach the network ENI API error, interface count 3 exceeded the limit 42 micro. So guys, it's not a issue. Okay, what happening? See, this machine type which is T2 micro has a limitation. On this machine, we can only able to have around 2 ENIs. It can only support up to 2 ENIs. Okay, it's not a issue. Now what I can do, so I'll go here. Let me delete this VM. terminated. I have terminated this VM. Let me launch one VM here. VM3. I am launching the same Amazon Linux, right? I will use the key pair, which is day 4.1, and I will deploy this machine also on the same subnet 01, which is public. I'll go with the enable public IP address. I will select the existing security group, allow all these settings. I will go with the default and launch. Now on this machine, I will basically see. This is my VM3 now. This is my VM3. In this VM3, if I'll go into this networking, it has only one private IP address. It has one public IP address, and it is just having one network interface, right? Now, if I'll go into my ENI here, if I will select my ENI, which is demo, I can basically attach this ENI with my EC2 instance, which is VM3. And it's done. So this is how we can able to create the ENIs. We can able to assign a elastic IP, like assign a public IP address using the elastic IP. We can able to detach from one instance. We can attach into another one, right? We can able to move all of them. So these are the tasks which we can able to do from easily from here. Now, let's do one more thing. See, if you remember this particular ENI I have created on a subnet, which is a part of US East 1A, right? Means this is the availability zone where I have created this particular ENI. If I will launch one instance, okay, if let me just launch one EC2 instance here, VM4, let's suppose I'm using this Amazon Linux, and this time let's suppose I am planning to launch this EC2 instance on availability zone like BPC01, and let me just deploy it on a public subnet 2, which is a part of US East 1V. I will use the existing security group. There is no security group. Let me just go with allow all. Why it is not fetching them? Yeah, it is fetched. Okay. Sometimes it takes some time. See, all these settings I will leave default. Go and launch. Now, if I'll go here, see, I have these VMs now, right? I have this VM4. And right now, whatever that demo ENI I have created is a part of VM3, right? You can go in networking, you can check, right? So I'll go here, this ENI demo 01, let me just detach from VM3. It is detached, right? Now, if I will planning to attach this particular ENI again. Let me just refresh it like that. So this is the ENI demo 3. Demo 01. If I will want to attach this ENI with this VM4, which I have deployed into different availability zone. 1 minute, I think I'm not getting that option. I have to refresh it because it takes some time like attaching and detaching. Okay, so that's not a problem. Go here, attach it. And right now you can see I'm only able to see VM01 and VM03. VM04 is not visible because it's a part of different availability zone. So I have mentioned here we have completed, right?